Hey everybody, it's JJamJim. Welcome back to another episode of Cities Skylines, our tutorial slash let's play series. And right now we're taking a look across the highway at our rail line. My thoughts are that this week we're going to tackle setting up our first rail station and crossing the highway here in our city. Since we unlocked it last time, it would be, I think, appropriate to play around with the train station and see how that all looks and feels, and some thoughts and different things like that. So let's get started here. So we have these two avenues crossing the highway. I was thinking of potentially one or both. I don't know about this one because of the way the slope is, that we could go over. However, we might just keep this one above ground and go over this way. So one of the things, and I think I've talked about this before, I've definitely talked about it in my streams. I'm not sure if I've talked about it here, but the rail. So the way I approach building rail, and this involves some terraforming, which I think we might do a little bit of in this episode. I know I said I wasn't going to do a lot of terraforming, but for this, I sort of have a purpose beyond just the... I'll show you kind of two ways you can do it, right? And there's no wrong way, and both ways you can do it. It's just, I prefer the rail to look as natural as possible. And what I really don't like about rail is when let's see, can I see? Oh, it's over there. So if you notice, I can't go over there, but right here, you see how the rail lines go up and over the highway like that? I don't like it when the rail has to bridge up and then bridge back down without it feeling like it's natural, or that it was on like a slope of like land. So, for example, if I was going to continue this road straight through, I probably would bridge the road first, or I would go tunnel underneath it using either the tunnel function, which you can do. So let's just show you that for a second. Okay, I'm not digging this anymore. I'm not digging this. Let's just go back to the Surviving Mars radio. I was not jiving to that song, and if I can't jive to the song, I can't build. I simply can't build. That's not true, but okay. So for example, you can do a couple things here, right? We could go up to here, tunnel down, boom, boom, back up, boom, right? No harm, no foul. Now we don't interrupt the train, and all is well. Or you could... and for those of you who don't know, sometimes this is confusing. Sometimes the bulldozer will get toggled underground, and that button is right here. Underground, above ground. Underground, above ground. Okay, or we could, raise this back up. I'm going to do this in a kind of a sloppy way. Right? And then, just go back down, right? And that's fine. I mean, we do that over highways, so it's not the worst thing. But basically what I'm saying here is I would rather disrupt the road than the rail. That's kind of what it is. Or, last thing you can do, if you have the option and you do not play on console, is we could destroy this bit of rail here. Okay. Grab your terraform tool. Now, I know we haven't talked about terraforming, so I guess this will be somewhat of a small little terraforming tutorial, I suppose. So there's 4 different things here, right? This is the shift terrain tool. So if I was to click on this tool and I left click, it will raise the terrain, okay? It will see how it's like raising a bump there, bloop, bloop, okay? Now, that is affected by 3 different brushes, 3 different sizes, and 3 different intensities, So right now I only have it on the 1 intensity. So basically when it's on the 1 intensity, you will have to click longer and it'll slowly sort of drag it out. If you go to the top intensity, shoop, it does a lot faster. See that? So you can use that, and then if you right click, it brings it back down. Okay? So you can raise and lower your terrain by doing that. There's this tool, which is the level terrain. Now let's say I wanted to raise the terrain to about the height of this bridge, because I wanted to create a natural slope instead of a bridge. So I could take my first tool and I could raise it and I could eyeball and say, that's probably about the height, right? Somewhere in there. I could grab the level terrain tool. I right click on the height I want based on where the cursor is. So those 2 little arrows, right click. And now when I hold left click until I right click on a different terrain, it will make that level terrain wherever I go. And you can see up here you have soil availability. If we are doing completely vanilla, you do have a limit of your soil that you can use. But basically it's just, if you need more soil, you can grab it from elsewhere, or if you have too much soil, you have to put it back somewhere else. Kind of a thing. And I'll show you that once we hit that cap. But basically now it'll just create a level plane exactly on that height that I just chose. Okay? Then there's the soften terrain tool. And that's just really something as more of a cosmetic thing to, if you have a very slanted height, let's say, you want this to look not as dramatic. This just sort of, and you can see like the contour lines, it sort of just smooths out terrain and kind of makes it a little bit less sharp. So that's kind of nice when you have like a very steep grade and you can just sort of soften that out a little bit. And then lastly, there's the slope terrain tool. This one is very, very good. So for this, let's say I want to, let's see, let me try to find a good example here. Okay, so here's what I'll do. Okay, so let's say that instead of this nice slope, I had, let me just raise the terrain here. Okay, now, let's say I wanted to create a very gentle slope, because if I built a road up this right now, right, it would look, well, one, it's telling me it's too steep, it would look really dumb, it wouldn't really work, right? But let's say I wanted to go from down here to up here, okay? I could simply take the slope terrain tool, I will right click where I want the terrain to start sloping, and I will left click and hold and drag where I want it to end. I'll show you what I mean. So if I do this, it'll start to slope it down. See? See how the contour lines there on the left stopped? It sloped a perfect slant from the top of that mountain to the where I first right clicked to where I started my left click. It will automatically slope it, so you have a very nice, gentle grade. There we go. It's still pretty steep, right? But you get the idea. Okay. So, what I want to do is get rid of all this. Okay, and then what I will have to do is get a nice slam. So, like here, for example, right? Now, I don't think I can actually build the rail lines because I don't have a station down. Okay, so I'm jumping ahead here, but we're kind of flopping all over the place, but that's just part of it. So I'm going to slope from here, where this rail is, and I'm going to go up to here. Oops, sorry. Right click here, and then left click, and you see how it just naturally will slope it for me. See how smooth that is? And if you keep going left and right, it doesn't all have to be in one lane. It will go as wide as you want. But if you let go, it will start to create the height of wherever you first left clicked. So make sure that you keep that in mind. So now we'll have a nice gentle slope, and that'll be really, really nice. Now, up here though, I think I'm actually gonna back this up a little bit more. If we have the Terraform tool out, let's use it. So instead, I would like to grab this height, and I want to level it. Because I want my train station to be at a level crossing, where it's not on a slant. Now, I promise I'm not gonna get too crazy with terraforming. Okay, I don't want to get all nuts on it because I said I wouldn't right now. Okay, but this is we're just doing a little bit of a tutorial here on it. For those of you who struggle with terraforming, it's really, once you get the hang of it, it's pretty excellent and a great tool to use. I'm gonna grab this, right click, left click. So now we can have a nice slope to end there. See how it says too much soil now? Okay. So if I have too much soil, I have to get rid of some, right? So which means I am going to grab the shift terrain and I'm going to right click. Wait, no. Here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop some in the water here. It's kind of it's a little bit goofy of a thing, and this is something that you can turn off you can have a no soil limit and I believe that is a mod that is in the base game. So, if I grab here, and I start grabbing stuff, see how it goes down? I'm creating a little bit of an island here, right? But now I have all the soil I need. Now, that's ugly and it's weird, but we can get rid of that later, right? But now I have all the soil I need. Or I have all the ability to grab as much soil as I need, so to speak. So I'll grab this terrain again, right click, left click. Alright, now I want to level this to here. Oops, see, I clicked the wrong thing there. There we go. Oops. No, let me do that again. Can always start again. Slope terrain. I want to slope from where the road is about here, just, give or take, and then make sure that this is all level when it kind of comes in. Great. And what can also help is when you have a lot of trees, when you're trying to terraform, you can just, delete all the trees, and that will really help. So you can actually, kind of see what you're doing a little bit better. So I'm going to go like this and like that. Okay, see how now perfectly level that is? It's very, very nice. Very good stuff. Okay. Let's plop down our train station. I'm gonna unpause the game. So we have two train stations. We have our regular passenger train and we have our cargo train. We will do one of each at some point, but for now, let's just do a passenger train line. So plop it down. Okay, and now once you've plopped it, now we have access to building the rail. And you have two train tracks options. I believe the one-way train track, I don't know for sure, and maybe some of you can let us know in the comments. I don't know, but I think the one-way track came in a patch when mass transit came out. I could be completely making that up. I have no idea, but I believe that is the case. But this wasn't always here, so now you can create a one-way set of tracks. But for now, just for simplicity, let's just do a two-way track. So I'm going to go and connect this. I'm going to go straight with this. It's not lined up perfectly. So I think instead what I'll do is grab, I'm going to use my guidelines here, okay? We're going to grab a track that is perpendicular, or parallel, excuse me, parallel to the train station track. Sort of as a cut through, right? As a bypass system. I'm going to grab my terraform tool, just because we have it out. Grab this. I'm going to slope it from there to here. And you can definitely do this in sections. Okay, so now I don't have enough soil, right? So I can come back over here. And I can grab this soil. Oop. By right-clicking and lowering this back down, now I'm grabbing some more soil. You can see it up in the left-hand corner there. Okay, come back over here. Don't be afraid to redo it as well. It'll work the same way every time. Because then what you have is a really nice gentle slope for your train to go up and down. And to me, I find that very important. The realism for me is it's very important. It's a rule I like to live by. So let's just curve gently here. And as you're deleting stuff, be careful to not delete too close to the dotted line. when you're outside of your city zone. Because if you do not have access to that tile yet, and you delete too close, I don't know if it's actually still an issue, but I think once if you deleted this bit, you can't build, like let's say we deleted right here, right? And it's actually not letting me. So maybe that was fixed. Maybe that was patched in something earlier. But early on, you used to be able to like delete a section that was maybe cut off right here, but then you couldn't actually build off of it anymore. It would let you delete it, but it wouldn't let you build it. So that was that was a bit of a mess. I'm going to get rid of this, and I want to, again, let's see, maybe I just bring this up just a bit. Yeah, maybe. But I'd rather... See how the water affects it too? You gotta be careful with that. So sometimes see how it's warping it? You almost have to... You have to make sure you're compensating for that when you are building your track. I'm actually gonna go like this. Whoop. There we go. Boom. Set it in place. Okay. Now, I'm going to come back down. Because we're at 3. Or no, it's 6. There we go. There. And that's pretty level. That's pretty good. It's not perfect, but we could nitpick all day, but we only have so much time. So we're not going to nitpick. And then, let's see. Can I... There we go. Okay, so... Now we have a bypass lane, because what's going to happen is this train line is going out into the region. So regional trains will come into your city, and those are usually red. Those trains will come into your city, and they will drop passengers off. Now you have the ability, and this was really nice. I believe this was also added in mass transit. You have the ability now to allow intercity trains, or you can disable it. So intercity meaning inter-regional trains. So if I uncheck this, now regional trains will not stop here. For now, we're going to allow it. We may not later, but for now, we're going to allow it. So the advantage of having a bypass here is that, so let's build our bypass first, and then we'll talk about it. Let's go back. Now, when you're building sections of rail, you definitely want to make sure that you have at least the length of a train in your sections. So what I mean by that is if, let's say we did this. Let's say I came off here and I built it like this, right? And that was my off there. Now, if a train was to pull into the station, the butt end of the train is probably going to be about right here. So I think this actually would work. But let's say another train was right behind it, also ready to come into the station. Maybe this was our local track, and our local train was here waiting in the station, and its butt was sitting right here, and another train from the region was coming in. It's going to sit here and pause, and now it's going to block this track. So now, any cargo trains or anything behind it will have to wait for it. So it's best if you can at least create as long of an approach to that as possible. So let's just create our own node right here. I'm going to take this tool so we can curve, and we're going to go like that. Great. Very smooth approach, so the train doesn't have to slow down super hard. Very, very nice. Now that allows one train to come into the station. That allows even another train to come into the station, just to be safe. Let's do the same thing on the other side. Doesn't have to be perfect, but let's do something like that. Okay? So, what this allows is all cargo trains will now be able to just fly right past the station. And if we were to turn off allowing city trains, now intercity trains can fly right past. Versus if we only had it right on our regional line, if we did that, then we'd have all this backup. We'd have all these trains waiting for our trains that are sitting here, loading up passengers. They would be getting backed up, and it would slow things down, and it just becomes a mess, because train traffic is real. That is a very, very, very real thing. So, now that we have that all hooked up, let's make sure that we get the water out here. I think we'll continue with our grid pattern. Okay. 440. Always good to remember. 440. Say it in your sleep. Okay, so now that's going to have water. Now we're going to have to run power to it. So, let's see. I think what we should do is link up these roads. Now, since we've been doing terraforming in this episode, I'm going to continue it because we're sort of doing it. So I'm going to continue on with this height, and we're gonna keep going straight here. Now, terraforming does cost money. You can see that there's a landscaping cost. Okay, not enough soil. So now I gotta come back over here and grab some more soil. See, now we're getting rid of our ugly little island here, and that's good. But see, it is costing money, right? 13 grand, 14 grand, you know. It does cost money, so make sure if you are going to terraform and it's going to be a large project and you have to destroy a lot of roads, but you know you're going to be terraforming, just make sure you have a lot of money saved up, because it is expensive. Oops. See, grab the wrong tool. Gotta always make sure you have the right tool. Now, the nice thing is the game will refund you if you sort of make that mistake, which is really nice. Now, I think... I'm not certain, but if I bring this straight, we may be able to... Oh, that's almost the same height. Almost the same height. So here comes our first regional train. Look at this. See? It's going right through, though. It's not stopping. Transporting passengers to Portes, which is another fictional city somewhere else in our region, right? It's carrying 177 passengers. It is not stopping at our station, and it might not be because of our power issue. But we'll fix that in a sec here. So let's first grab this and see how high. This is a perfect example of what I was talking about earlier. That is about the height I want it to be at, so it just rests down onto the hill. So let's grab that, smooth it out. It could be a little higher, actually. Oops, a little high. There we go. I think that's probably about right. Let's grab it, smooth it out. And it's eyeballing. You'll get used to eyeballing stuff like that. But let's see how it matches up with this. So it's a little bit different in height, but that's no matter. We can just slope it. So let's continue this straight. So we have some room. And then we will slope this. Even though it's already sloped already, it's just nice to be able to do a very just gentle, easy kind of curve. Make it really nice for your Sims to drive on. Okay, so let's go straight with this. And then we'll do a perfect curve to there. So we didn't hit it exactly, right? It wasn't perfect, but not bad, and I'm not gonna redo that just for that. But see, it's you play around with it, right? We could easily destroy that, lower the train a little bit, redo all of that, and then it would be fine. But I think this is going to be just dandy. So now we have a little bit of a pathway there, and that's kind of nice. I think I may actually make this a curve, since the other side is curved. Won't be the exact curve, but it'll look a little. It's a little nicer. Cool. So let's get some power out there. And I think what I'd like to do actually is, since this is going to be a passenger train station, let's get a little bit commercial hanging out on the other side here. So when people come, they can shop immediately, and that's all fine and dandy. And then I think what we could also do is kind of create some neighborhoods over here. And that'll be really nice. All right. So let's grab our cable. I'm going to go right into the inner side here, and boom, perfect. Great. And now we have power. And that will jump power to our commercial buildings over here. So now this is in operation. We have a train station. That is in operation. Perfect. So yeah. So we also have to keep in mind that the highway's coming through. And I'm not going to lie to you, I just realized this. But you know what? We're going to make it work. In fact, let's make it work right now. I'm going to pause the game. We have a little bit of money. Let's make a 4-way interchange. And I'm going to show you why, you know, sometimes you make mistakes and it's okay. So we're going to do our own version of this. Now, let's keep in mind, you have basically these options for an intersection. And, well, we could just do that cloverleaf. But instead, because of the situation we're sort of in right now, I think we're just going to need to do our own version of one. That'll be okay. Now, as I've stated before, I am not good at building interchanges. These are one of the first assets I pick up in the workshop because I am terrible at them. So, we are going to just build one that is functional, but probably not optimal. Or at least it won't be optimal for, you know, the period of time that we need it. So I'm actually going to go a little higher because what's going to happen is we're going to go straight up and we're going to go straight over the train station. But I want it to be, you know, again, a nice curve. So we're going to raise it to about there. Keep going. Nice. That actually worked out better than I was expecting it to. And that's, see how nice and gentle that curve that is? So let's see if we can hopefully match that on the other side. Now I don't remember which height I went up to. Was it 9? I guess it was 9. Then I raised it to 15 or 12 or whatever this is. But when in doubt, use your guidelines. The road guidelines are super snazzy, and boy, that makes building highways a lot easier. Now, they aren't completely level, but they are still high enough for the trains to get over, and so I'm not gonna bother with that. It's actually a pretty nice slope as well, so I think we'll leave that. Okay, great, cool. Now we didn't disrupt the train station, and that is all fine and dandy. Now, let us create on-offs for both sides. Basically, what we're going to do is just create... we're just going to create a regular diamond interchange. Sort of like we did over here. Now, again, as I've stated before, diamonds are not great. But I am not skilled enough, and I'm fully okay to admit that. I'm not skilled enough to create my own, like, diverging diamond. I would have to look into that. And frankly, there's so many beautiful assets in the workshop, and I would... I'm not saying you shouldn't create your own. If you can create your own, oh my gosh, well, then bless you, and you should do it. But for me, just a matter of opinion, you should... I know my strengths. I know my strengths, and I know where I want to spend my time creating, and it's not making interchanges. It just isn't. But I'll do different things, like I'll do some partial clover leaves and things like that, but I'm not great at building the very, very high, flow, like traffic stuff. But as long as you create very long approaches, it's better than nothing, I guess. Alright, so there we have our off to get onto this highway. Okay, so we will try as best we can to mirror on the other side what we did on there. And the guidelines will do a little bit of that for us. But again, see how that's not... well, that's pretty straight. But I'm going to unsnap the angle and go to the straight. There we go. Like this, and like that. Okay, and we'll change the directions afterward. Okay, so now on this side, we have a little bit more play. We can sort of, you know, we can sort of play around with where we want the on-offs to be. And I think, just for reference, if you do have a highway or a road that is being that is on an incline. If you connect it to another road, it will sort of dip and level the road for you. I'll just kind of show you what I mean. So if I was to build a road off of this here, right? It's going to flatten that little bit, which doesn't look great, right? Doesn't look that great. So instead, I'm going to build it off right here because it's a perfect spot. It's a flat already, and it will give us a very, very nice approach. Okay, so with that, and we will go, we'll just kind of follow the highway. I'm going to bring it down. Maybe not. Actually, let me back up twice here, because it'll just sort of follow the contour of the highway here. And let's make sure, so I have the angle unsnapped, but that's intentional. So let's go there. Okay, and then I'm going to start to curve this. Like, let's see, let's go out by the 10, and it'd be nice if we could keep that rock feature, but I don't think we're going to be able to. So I'm going to go down a little bit to there. It's a nice gentle slope. I'm going to go straight, go to the ground level. Okay, perfect. I'm going to go out a little bit more and try to connect it at the same point that other one is connected. So like there-ish. That's ish. Okay, that's our out. In, let's go the same way. To there. Doesn't even disrupt our businesses that we have there already. I'm going to go out to about, oh, can I not? Oh, I was still unsnapped to the angle. There we are. But I want to kind of snap to that node so we can create the same. It's not. This game being a little finicky, but that's okay. Return on the snap to the angle. Go out by 10, down by 10. Let's go down. Okay. And now we are parallel with our other highway. So let's go straight, down again. To up there. Now we can sneak under this highway. Go to ground level at 12 mark. And then go straight a little bit more. Then even a little bit more. And there we go. That's not perfect. Okay, it's not perfect, but we're just gonna leave it. So now we have it's very oversized, but it's gonna be very helpful for us because this is probably gonna be a massive, massive interchange. So now let's just make sure we go through and everything's going the right way, right? So this is our in to this highway. This is our out. This is gonna be our in, so this has to be all reversed. And this is our out. Perfect. And we disrupted some of the power lines. Let's just make sure we put those back. Now we're going to probably have to diverge over to here. That's okay. We'll probably end up getting rid of those later anyway. Now we can play. And now they'll all have to resort out their stuff. But that's all okay. Very cool. And then obviously we will, you know, connect that up to the highway over here or wherever in the future. Awesome. Well, everybody, that's going to do it for this episode. We did a bunch of different things. We did some highway work. We did some terraforming work. We learned a little bit about trains. We'll continue our train talk definitely in the future, especially when we start putting in some cargo train stations. And we'll take a look at our first passenger train next time, or our second passenger train. We may have gotten another one, but actually maybe not because we were paused. So we'll take a look at that next time. Everybody, thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time.